Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising as we delve into twin soul abduction story. You may remember that several months ago we had Seven, the 8-year-old girl who communicates with the blue avians and knows the light language and so forth. She was on with her mother, Kirsten Rhodes. And Kirsten and I have been in conversation, and Kirsten has informed me of this incredible story that she and a colleague, Jared Hoyt, have experienced recently. And so I thought it would be good for us to hear from Kirsten and Jared, because abduction stories are worldwide, go back to ancient times, and continue to happen in contemporary society in diverse places around the world. And in fact, it is through these experiencers, those who have been in some kind of dramatically experienced interactivity with the extraterrestrial beings, that are carrying the best and most reliable information about who they are, why they're here, and what is the purpose of their interactions with we Earthlings. So I'm going to turn it over to Kirsten and Jared right now. They're going to tell their story, and then I'll circle back and we'll dialogue for the balance of the time. We have to leave a little bit early today because of Bertie Jaworski's course in remote viewing for ET communication. But Kirsten and Jared will join the after chat, so you'll have plenty of time to speak with them. So Kirsten, Jared, I turn the program over to you.
Thank you so much, Jim. So this is actually a very interesting story. Jared was actually my high school boyfriend, and we tried to be together several times, but it didn't. The timing was never right. And Christmas, I went to visit my parents, and we decided to get together with his daughter, and we hung out. And I'm a shaman, so I work with the spirit molecule, and he had never done that before. And we both went in at the same time, and we both got told at the very same time, this is your person. And when I opened my eyes, I was like, oh no, I'm not ready to do this, right? I'm not ready to open my heart like this. Like, no, no, no. And I looked at him and I said, what did you get? And he said, what did you, he said, you already know. And I said that we're each other's person. We both started crying, and we've been together ever since, pretty much. And so much so that we're now moving to Texas together this week. So it's kind of little bit crazy around us. But where it gets interesting is they literally showed us that we were twin souls. And the twin flame thing, I think, is miscommunicated. And they told us that it was very much not like a twin flame situation, that there are many souls that can be your soulmate. But he was definitely mine, and one of those in this lifetime. So we decided to take a trip up to Utah. And if you guys saw the episode with Seven and I, all of Seven's experiences began in Park City, Utah, actually. Yeah, a little bit west of there. But we and his family has a home right outside of Park City in Midway, and it's just absolutely beautiful territory. And we were sitting in the hot tub, and Jared had never, he's a skeptic, he's a chiropractor, okay? He's open, but this was all new to him. And we're sitting in the hot tub, and then I'll let you kind of explain what you saw with the lights first.
Okay, so hello, I'm Jared. So we were sitting in the jacuzzi, just relaxing after a day of skiing, and off in the distance, I noticed there was a street light that started flickering. It didn't completely flicker off, but it dimmed way down, but it flickered down, and then it came back on normal brightness, and I pointed out to Kirsten, I was like, Kirsten, did you see that? And she said, see what? And I explained to her what I saw, and I was like, wow, that was kind of weird. And then she wasn't, and then so it didn't happen again for a little bit, but it happened again, but she had turned away and didn't see it, and I saw it again. I was like, okay, this is kind of strange. I was like, okay, keep looking over there. And then it did it again. The light flickered down and then came back up. And
Then I got my camera
and that's
out.
when Kirsten got her camera out. So that's where the recording that she has posted, it shows what we witnessed. And then as I'm looking at, she's recording, I noticed when the light dimmed down, everything around it became dark, but there was a section in there that was kind of oval, like not circular, but oval, that was just pure darkness. Like it was like a void. It wasn't the same darkness around it. And I said, "Are you seeing that on camera?" She couldn't see it on camera. And then when the light came back on, that was gone. But she kept recording, and when it dimmed down again, I saw that same hole appear, but she didn't get it on camera. It didn't show on camera. I could only see it with my naked eye. But it was at that point that I think that
I started seeing a black hooded being, and I said, "Do you see that? There's a black hooded being there." And he said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I see it." And it was going from left to right very slowly. And so I started communicating with it. It started communicating with me telepathically, because at first I got a little bit afraid. I said, "Are you here?" Because it looked like the Grim Reaper. And I said, "Are you here to take us?" And I felt like this laugh. And it said, "No, that's not my only job." And I said, "Well, what is your job?" And he said, "Well, I have many jobs." He said, "Well, the first one is when people die very quickly. What I do is I'm there to, like in a car accident where they don't know that they're dead. He said, you always see me pointing in the movies, pointing. What I'm doing is pointing towards the two beings that are taking the soul up so that they don't cling here to earth." And he said, "I'm basically to scare the heck out of everybody so that they go, but I'm not." And I said, "Oh, are you benevolent?" And he said, "I'm neutral." And then I said, "Okay." I said, "That makes so much sense." And he said, because he said a lot of souls don't know they're dead. And so this is his job, to scare them to go with the beings that take them. And so I said, "What's your second job?" And he said, "I transmute negative energy." And I said, "Okay, is there negative energy here?" And he said, "Yes, you're right on some very important ley lines. And we're working on this grid together." And I was like, "You and me?" And he said, "No." He said, "There's other beings here." And then so it was at that time, and I'm communicating this to Jared, and we were just mind blown. You can see the being go left to right over the camera, and literally like it's moving. And then there's another light that comes on, and then another light that comes on that shouldn't be there. I mean, they shouldn't have been there at all. It was like they were coming towards us. And Jared even said, I think they're coming towards us.
Yeah, well, it made a perfect line directly from that the street light, and then the next light that came on, that it was a blue kind of orb looking light. It would come on, and then it would turn off, and then come on. And I'd never seen it before. I've been in that hot tub many times, and none of these things had ever happened. And then a little bit further, closer towards us, another light came on, but it was an orange flashing light. And it was a direct line right towards us. But it was also the other thing that Kirsten didn't mention. With my naked eye, I couldn't see that being, but on camera, I could see it, or we could see it.
Mm-hmm. And you could see the energy. He was doing something to the energy. Like the energy, it looks very fuzzy, but you could see that the energy was around him. And as soon as, and it was funny because Jared then said, "I wonder if they're doing this." And I thought to myself, like, you haven't had an experience before with being taken. What do you mean them? Like, and then I looked up, and he wasn't looking up, and I said, "Oh my God, do you see this ship? There's a huge black ship above us, and it had all these lights around it." And so pardon me, but it looked like a penis. It was like shaped like very thin. And then it had like two bulbous ends, and then it got a little bit bigger right at the top. And it was at this point that I think you started getting a little bit freaked out.
A little bit, because but it was before that the other light came on, the one that projected
the orb that was it was projecting like it was somebody was on a TV screen, but there was nobody home at the house, and it wasn't even at the place where the house was, where we were seeing this orb, and it was morphing into different things. Like it looked like it was like beaming something to us from like the 40s, like with the TV. I don't know, it was like a guy on the news. We couldn't tell, and then it would morph and change until we'd see faces in it. And we're both like, are we losing our minds here? Like, what's going on? But I've experienced enough of this around 7 to where I knew like something was definitely happening. And so when I told him to look up and we started seeing it, then I tried to get the ship on tape, which they wouldn't let me get that for whatever reason. And it started snowing. So I also put my phone away because I didn't want to damage the phone. And then all of a sudden, these things that looked like pinchers, like little, like hands like this, claws, started coming out of the ship, and they were white and reddish orange, right? And then I'm watching it, and Jared said, I'm being told to close my eyes. And something in me said, we're about to get taken. And so I was so excited, and I grabbed his hand, and I held onto his hand. I said, do not let my hand go. Whatever happens, don't let my hand go. I said, don't be scared. And I kept saying, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Because I've experienced before with like sevens beings, if you're afraid, they just leave because they don't want to scare you. And so intuitively, I knew this was like a mantis being because I had a girlfriend, well, actually a client of mine who works with me. She was channeling this mantis being, and I just felt its energy, so I knew it was familiar. But I hadn't ever, I'd seen it with her before as she was channeling it through the third eye, but this was like I was seeing it in real time. And Jared's eyes were closed, so then I closed my eyes. And I just remember I kept saying it was like Jodie Foster in Contact, like where she's like, I'm good to go, I'm good to go, I'm good to go. Like I kept repeating that over and over again so they knew like I wasn't scared. And he was just very quiet. And then I remember we were in the ship, and all of a sudden it was huge inside, guys, like huge, like way bigger than it even looked on the outside. Like I don't know how this is even possible for them to do this, but it was enormous. And the first thing I saw was something that made no sense, which I later, I believe this was a screen memory, but it was like a couch, like something that reminds me of like the 1950s with like flowers on florals on it. And when I looked at that, it was like something shifted in my mind. But then I remember seeing in the background, in the way distance, there was what looked like a silver like surfboard, like a table, and there was no legs on it. It was just suspended there. And I saw like lights above it and like some kind of devices. And that's when, and so I saw that, and then boom, we both opened our eyes and we were like, we're back. And I immediately got upset because I was like, why? Like, I wanted to remember, like, why did this happen? And then Jared's looking at my face and he's like, babe, you have no mouth from here down. And
I was panicked.
yeah,
I was very panicked.
Yeah, he got really scared. And then like there was my eyes, well, you can tell him.
So her eyes were kind of morphed a little bit, like dark, really dark and big, but then all of a sudden they went completely white with like black slits down, from top to bottom. And I was like, oh my gosh, Kirsten, your eyes. I was like, your eyes are completely white with slits. And it didn't, see, all this didn't mean anything to me. Like Kirsten said, I was a skeptic. And even with that, it was so strange because when we were there in the jacuzzi, we looked up, I was like, oh my gosh, everything's gone. And I still, I've been trying to recollect what happened. You
have memories of what they did to me, though. I'll tell them what I saw with you later. So then the mantis being said to me afterwards, and I just heard him in my mind say, we're going to, I forgot to leave one thing out. So on Jared's face, he had these white, what looked like pieces of tape over his, so yeah, the mantis was not green, it was actually brown. And I was told the green mantis has to do with the government abductions. That's not the real one. So this is what he told me. He's from ancient Egypt. And it was, he has a triangle on his forehead, okay? And what he showed me, and now I understood why I would have been going through so much trauma, because they literally took his heart out of his chest, and he had like still the aorta thing attached, right? But his heart was out of his physical chest, and they were pushing in some kind of goo, like Sevens talked about the goo. That's the best way I could describe it. It was green, it was bright green, fluorescent green, and it was pulling this dark energy that was then flowing into a tube and into like some kind of little tank thing. And then they had like probes in his head, and he was screaming, and I was screaming, and I remember this. And then the mantis being turned to me and beamed something out of the triangle in his head, telling me to calm down, that they were helping him, not hurting him. And I thought like nothing happened to me. I was like, oh, okay, I guess like nothing happened to me. But then Jared told me
So what that happened to me?
No, what you saw happen to me.
See, my whole, like, it's all so foggy for me, like, as far as what happened, other than like leading up to it and after it.
Well,
And
you told me you saw the heartstrings between
okay,
those
oh
being
yeah, okay,
strengthened.
yeah. So yes. So, but and again, we lost time, and my son was there, not there in the jacuzzi with us, but we said we were only out in the jacuzzi for like an
We
hour or
started
two.
at 12:55. I put the phone down from filming. Okay, and when we turned the phone back on, it was what 4
4
a.m.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
My son said, "No, you guys were out there playing music for
A long
hours."
time, and then the music stopped,
Yeah, the
and he
music
said,
stopped. That's
"Mm-hmm."
right. Yeah.
And so it's like we had witnesses to this, and this was, I mean, for him and I to go through this together. But then they showed us a couple of other things that was like he had hit his head skiing that day, and he'd also had 2 heart attacks previously, and so they were repairing his heart. And I mean, how do you feel now, babe?
Feel good. Like
Yeah.
I even forget. I have to take heart meds every single day, and I never not take my heart meds. And since then, it's like when I remember, which I never forgot to take my heart meds because I'm not concerned about it. And my heart rate, I keep my heart rate monitor on. My heart rate's been good, and I haven't been taking my heart meds as frequently as I was.
And he was extremely psychic. So I mean, I'm already very intuitive, but both of us were extremely psychic. We were reading each other's minds after that, like, and we still are pretty much in each other's heads. Yeah. And like he was, so he went to work, and after we had left Utah, and he started filming himself working on clients. He was asking, and he was able to do the energy work that you guys know Seven and I do. Not the light language hasn't come through him, but the energy work where I put the projection and using, and I told him, light's going to shoot out of your finger. And it did. Blue light shot out of his finger, and he was mind blown. And he started working on clients. And we have videos of this on our TikTok channel where you can see his clients like, and we got, with their faces blurred out, but this guy's like, oh, I couldn't move this arm, and then like all of a sudden, and he literally was like curing people. I mean, and it's source energy working through us. But yeah, it was absolutely mind blowing because I've never met anybody besides my daughter who has these healing abilities, and now my partner has them, and it's so mind boggling to me, but it's also, it makes so much sense. And now we keep having experiences with this mantis being all over the place. Like he's everywhere with us, and he's always beaming stuff out of this triangle in his head. And we keep seeing beings that have like a triangle on them. And then last night, like I had a triangle on my stomach, and I couldn't see it because I was laying down. But he was like, "Babe, there's a green triangle on your stomach," and something was happening with my stomach. And it was like clearing it out. I don't know exactly what was happening there, but there's just been so many occurrences where I'm seeing the mantis, and so is he. And he's also having experiences. If you guys remember Chris Bledsoe's story, I'm trying to get him to listen to it because he's having meeting Hathor. He met Hathor yesterday in his meditation, and you met Anubis, right?
Yeah, which I have no frame of reference for any of that, and so I was like, I'm seeing, and I described what they look like. She's like, "Oh my gosh, it's Hathor and
Anubis." Yeah, because, and we could also share the same vision, which this has never happened to me before. I can share it for an instance with a few people sometimes, but we were in the same situation together. Like this is in meditation, and Thoth actually works with my daughter, and we saw him yesterday. Last night actually with the beak, but this was phenomenal. And every time that we go in together in meditation, it's like more is being revealed, and it's getting very weird, but so interesting. And they keep telling us all of these things about humanity and what they're doing with the ley lines and upgrading and everything, and that there's certain people on this earth who are having these contact experiences because they're not fearful of them. And then when these twin souls come together, and again, like I'm not a fan of the whole the twin flame thing because I think that's been basically commercialized, but there is something to it because together we are stronger than we are separate, and it has something to do with man and woman. They specifically told me that, and it's like that you two, and we have literally been moving miracles. Like, I mean, it was so crazy when we decided to move. We didn't know we were just going to go to Texas, and he was going to, work for the company out there. And now all of a sudden, all this stuff, and we wanted to go to Arizona. That was what we said we wanted to do. All of a sudden, boom, 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 doors open. This guy's like handing his practice to him, doesn't want anything just because he wants somebody he can trust to take over his practice, him and his cousin. And it's like all of these doors are just opening. It's like unlock, unlock, unlock. As long as we stay in our heart space and we stay in love, and we're wanting to help humanity, it's like everything is being unlocked. And I literally have no words for it. So happy to take questions for you guys, and Jim and anyone else that has any questions. What did Jared see happen to you?
The heart's connected.
Yeah, our heartstrings connected. Yes, Kim says, enter Hathor. She's one of the oldest ascended master, Mother Isis. Yeah, I was explaining to him that she is all of those temples. They're just different pantheons. And that's exactly what she told me. And yes, it was healing the feminine and the masculine energy. And he's such an amazing human being. Like, I haven't, you're welcome, maybe you are. And going in. So I work with the spirit molecule, full disclosure. But when we go in together with it, it doesn't, it's not like it's a hallucination. It's like you can see reality, but even without the molecule, like we has to have the same experiences. Like we don't even need it really anymore. It's like bizarre what's happening. And we can see these things happening. And the mantis being worked on his arm last night, I got a video of it, and he had soft tissue damage, surgery, because he does soft tissue work. He does ART and
Fascial distortion model.
And fascial distortion model, which is a specific kind of chiropractic, but it requires you to get really in deep there. And it was starting to hurt his hands. So he's now being able to use the light, and they put him in like a surgical vice thing. Last night I got a video of it, and his arm is stuck there like this
Paralyzed
for like 30 minutes. And you can see this blue light around him and all of these little robotic things working around him. And I was just blown away, like, because, and some people now, and I've understood this because we posted it on TikTok. Some people can see it, some people can't. And it has something to do with, I believe, the, like your vibration, I guess, right? And if you stay in your heart space, you'll be able to see it, because there are plenty that saw it. They're like, oh my gosh, I saw the blue light. And there's this blue light that comes around when their healing energy comes around, and it comes, then the green comes in too. And that's the mantis. And the mantis said to me, as I said, well, why are you connecting with us now? And why is this happening? Because I thought that I was blue avian. And he said, well, you are you are many things. And he said, just like your daughter, but your daughter is a pure blue avian. But he said, you are many things. And then it said to me, we are learning to be human. And I said, are there humans on Earth like you? And he said, yes. Like they're physical. He said, not very many of them, but there are. And I got the chills all over my body. How can we both be reached? We'll definitely give you all of that information. It's www.psychicbabes.com. We are actually going to be opening like some kind of practice healing center is what we're getting, because that's what we're being told that we're supposed to do, or that we get to do. And we've already worked on people together, and it's been so magical. And then had Seven come in and throw in her stuff, and it's literally like our whole family is coming together, and we're all able to do this stuff. It's so magical. I'm in such divine gratitude for what's happening.
The other thing too with that, I just want to kind of piggyback on that. What we've noticed is when she's worked with clients, and again, this is so new to me. We're talking like not even a month, and she pulled me in with a couple of her clients, and we've noticed together. I don't have any history of what this client has been through or whatever, but we see exactly what's going on, and we together have actually helped several of your clients
Uh-huh.
get together, and even quicker.
Much quicker. Yeah. And to speak about the spirit molecule, so I have been working with it for 7 years as a facilitator. It took me 3 years of my own work working with it until it started being guided me to show how other people how to do these things. Because I believe, and the mantis confirmed this for me, that that the spirit molecule is a technology that allows us to communicate with them clearer, right? And so that's literally what's happening. And so I think, yeah, Shannon, I think Jim is going to show that video at the end probably, so you guys can see and see exactly what happened. But this is something that we feel compelled and we want to definitely help people with. And we were shown very clearly we get to build a center somewhere that's going to be a healing center. I think it's going to have plant medicines. I think it's going to have different parts of it that are energy work. And then we're also going to be teaching people, because we for the first time got clearance to be able to teach people how to do energy work, like how to activate the chakras. And oh my gosh, she said frequencies in water. Okay, so this is interesting. My element whenever I work on people is always fire. Yes, I say spirit molecule because on I guess I don't have to worry about the air, but on TikTok, DMT, the word will get me banned. But yes, that DMT. So, but I use fire, and he is water. And so it literally, he uses water, I use fire, and it's like I burn the stuff away. And then he goes in there with the water. And then sometimes, so this is earth, this is fire, this is water, this is air, and this is ether. And so you can use these different, yes, it's alchemy, but it's alchemy through energy. And now what's happening is, honestly, sometimes I don't even have to use my hands. I can just direct the energy and it just goes where it gets to go. And yeah, the purple fire, I have seen that burst come in a few times. Have you seen that purple come in? No, I've seen it a few times, but it was not with him. Yeah, absolutely. I have seeds for over 700 plant species, cultivate many of them healing plants. I do too here as well. Yeah, absolutely. So we're moving to Keller, Texas, but then after that we're moving outside of Phoenix. And that's where his practice will be. And then he's also going to be doing energy work with me together. And we're going to be helping people as much as we can, because I got the sense, did you get that the timing is of the essence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's something with the timing. It's not that my shoulder hurts. Last night he did some work on me, and released a bunch of stuff. And so I was just kind of like, oh, I was seeing how it felt, and I'm like, it feels amazing. But yeah, so they were telling us time is of the essence, and it has to do with the energies right now and the way that it's happening on Earth. Why do you think these beings are working through you? I believe it's because, well, he got to go through a duality experience where he thought he was dying for a moment. It was very scary to him. And I knew it was happening because it's happened to me. And I told him that this was going to happen when he came down here. I said, you're going to have like a spiritual death and rebirth situation. And yes, non-dual awareness, exactly. And that's when Hathor came in, the light, like, and I could felt him disconnect from me. And I said, babe, come back to me, come back to me, come back to me. He said, I need to go to the hospital.
I was scared.
My heart.
Gosh.
And I was like, your heart is fine, I promise you. And as soon as he connected back with me, the light came in, but it was split. It was light and dark. And I said, you have a choice now. You have a choice to choose the light or the dark, or to choose non-duality. And he said, okay, I choose non-duality. And so literally we have no fear. No, the fear is gone.
Completely taken.
Yeah, and it took that from him. I was already there, but the fear is completely gone from him now. Like he has no more like, oh, this is showing up like, oh my God, what is that? It's like, oh, it's exciting.
Well, the funny thing about that too is the skeptic in me still, I'm seeing all these miracles happening, and my medical brain wants to explain it another way.
And tell them what they said to you.
And so, well, about that, you know the answer. That one, yeah.
Well, no, your rash, or that won't work.
Oh, your intellect will not work here. So that was directly told that by a guide, your intellect will not work here. And 'cause I'm questioning it and I'm trying to understand it in a more scientific way. So that's a skeptic in me. And so I'm a believer, but it's like I'm seeing all these things happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, how in the world did this happen? That shouldn't have happened. And Kirsten's like, trust.
And so I keep reminding him, like, your intellect won't work here, because that's what they kept reminding me. And that was also something I got to learn right away too, is when working with the spirit molecule, because they sent me in situations. And when I started working with Anubis, I got sent through like the depths of darkness, and it was really scary, and I didn't know what was happening. But then all of a sudden he was like, just kidding, like it was a test kind of thing. And so it was like I had to go, and there, the beetle. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So Ani, you just posted a scarab beetle, and he saw that right after he went through his rebirth.
That was 2 days. Yesterday, or 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Yes, it was a beetle. So we saw the scarab beetle. We love you too. Oh my gosh. He saw it and he was like, what does this mean? And I have one on my altar that actually Seven brought one for me to heal, and we healed Seven, and I healed it like it was dead. Like it was in rigor mortis. Oh, I actually have this on video too and on TikTok. But her and her friend were there and they were like, please help this. And I was like, babe, I don't know. It's like dead. It was like rigor mortis. And somehow we brought it back to life. It was animated, and like it started crawling and everything. But this was another one that had died as well. And this one didn't make it. So I put it on my altar as a remembrance of that experience. And so, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I get that this is hard to believe, but they're telling me that more is going to be happening to people the more that you trust, and the less you need the experience to happen, the more it will happen. So just trust and know, and have an open heart, and ask to connect with them, and they will come.
The other thing too, thank you for mentioning that. I was having a conversation with my son. This was after Utah, and we told him about it. I said, so do you think it's crazy? Like, and my son, he is open, and he said, no, Dad. He said, what happens is the world isn't looking. The world's not looking for anything that is different. It's like they're like the non-player, the NPCs, and their eyes aren't open. Now that my eyes are open, I'm seeing everything that's going on. And I don't know if it's because they don't choose to, or they don't want to, or whatever reason. But he's like, yeah, you're looking at life through a different lens now.
Good. Well, thank you both. This is amazing stuff. I'd like to concentrate in the few minutes we have remaining on two domains. First, Jared, I'm very fascinated, I think all of us are, by what happened to you with your heart.
Yeah.
And because that seems to be quite an extraordinary event, that if you were in a severe heart situation, you're worked on by the mantids or whoever it was, and now you're perfectly healthy and have enhanced healing techniques. Revisit that and tell us more about the transformation that you experienced as you were going through that process, because that's quite extraordinary.
So this is where Kirsten actually was the one that she witnessed what was being done. And so, but I had my eyes closed, and I was told to keep my eyes closed because they told you it would be too traumatic for me to see.
And they told me also that's why they wiped our mind, and they said, we'll slow drip this information back to you. And then I asked him, I'm saying, are you getting some of the stuff that, like, I said, is it coming back to you? This was several days later, right? And he said, yes, but he sees what happened to me, and I saw what happened to him. And what I saw was, like I said, his heart was outside of his chest, and they were pulling this black stuff out. It was like a black goo that was then going into a separate, down a tube into a separate container, and it was like contained. And they were pulling that out. And I remember when because I was screaming, because I said, you're hurting him. And they said, no, we're not hurting him. We're healing him. We're helping him. And then the mantis being out of his third eye, but it was a triangle third eye, beamed something to me that calmed me down immediately, and calmed him down immediately too.
But sorry. Oh, but so to answer that a little more in depth, what you were asking, I I've been ever since 2019. I've had a lot of anxiety about my heart. Obviously, I shouldn't have lived. I have two stents in my heart, and the medication. I never miss my medication ever, and I always monitored my heart rate with my watch, which I don't have my watch on. I don't feel the need to anymore, and I don't carry my nitroglycerin with me anymore. And so it took my anxiety away completely because I
Gotcha.
breathed it.
Gotcha. And your experience, Jared, is of complete healing as a
Yeah,
result of this experience.
I believe it.
And gifted and like gifted with this be the ability to be able to channel. I mean, he can even demonstrate if everybody wants to experience this. We can show you because we can push the energy, and most of you should be able to feel it.
Wow. If you'd like, I mean, how long does it take? Is it a instant thing
Time
or
for another session.
Okay.
maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my instinct, rather than do it at the tail end, let's do it more judiciously at another session.
Mhm.
But I want to also ask you, starting with you, Kirsten, about what the mantids are saying about the nature of our time. I think there's a prevailing awareness that this period between 2025 and 2030 is a time of reckoning. It's a
Yes.
time when, all the trains are coming into the station all at once. So I'm interested in your remarks several times that time is of the essence. And I'm just wondering whether you had any dialogue with them or any insights from them about what humanity can expect in this moment and what qualities we need to be cultivating to navigate through what is surely coming.
So basically, he told me it's going to feel like all hell is breaking loose. And he said it's going to, but as long as he was literally showing me a vision of me being in front of a fire in one situation, in front of like a tornado storm, in front of an earthquake, and the energies were protecting me. It was wrapped around me. So nothing was happening to me. But I was watching all this chaos around me because everybody else that was dropping into fear was experiencing that fear. And so he said, time is of the essence to not to force people to awaken, but to open people's eyes to the truth and to open people's eyes to the fact that pure love and unconditional love is the way to access this energy, and that anybody can do it. Any of us can access it, but we have to be open to it. We get to be open to it. And the time is of the essence also has to do with the ley lines. There is something wrong. Mother Earth is definitely going through this like literally showed me she's giving birth. Okay. And what is happening is there's like this counterbalance where there's energies still here that are trying to keep that from happening. And so they're trying to go in and do all of this stuff really fast. And we also get to participate in that because he's saying the more you contribute to it, the better. Seven did a healing for the fires and here in LA, and they started dying down. I mean, the wind started dying down. It was absolutely mind blowing. And this was like, and it probably wasn't just her. It was there are many people doing these things, but like confirmation of that is just, so it's all of these things, these fires, these floods. And I had a dream 4 years ago that it was going to be earthquake, fire, flood. And it's like, literally, I'm just like, oh my goodness, is this what's happening? And Sevens told me from the get-go, she made a video a year ago that said, prepare for the earthquakes, prepare for the fires, and prepare for the flood. And I never told her about the vision that I had. So time is of the essence has to do with humanity coming together in unity, and us coming, like what you're doing here, Jim, like what exactly what you're doing is providing a platform for everybody to be able to speak their truth, whether or not it's everybody's truth, that's okay, but being able to feel safe enough to speak their
Exactly.
truth and
Exactly.
to come together. And that's how we get to figure out how to make of exactly what it is, right? It's like, okay, this means this, okay, this is a credible person, this means this, right? And then it's like we're figuring it out. And once we figure it out, it literally it's showing me that it's like setting you free. It's setting you free from all of the duality. And that had already happened from me, through me from 7, because she took that from me. She told me there's nothing evil in this world, Mom. It's all in your mind. You can make it so if you want to, but why would you choose that? And I just thought that was the most bizarre message, because I'm like, well, what about demons and all that stuff? She said, that's not real. Those are thought forms. They're thoughts that form from your mind. And then they create, given enough energy, the more you feed it with trauma and stuff like that, they turn into an actual being, but it's not sentient. That's why when people have experiences with demons, the demons are like, blah, 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 blah. They don't make any sense. You can't talk to them. They literally spew Latin or whatever Aramaic, but there's bits and pieces, is because people are programming them with those kinds of things, but they're not sentient. They're just thought forms.
Gotcha. Well, listen, this is fascinating. And I think we'll leave it at that. With one final quick comment by both of you. What emotion have you been left with, given the experience that you both have undergone?
Gratitude.
Yeah. Well, gratitude as well. Thank you for that word, but peace.
Peace, gratitude, and peace.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Well, that'll bring us to a close for today, everyone. You can join Kirsten and Jared in the after chat. You'll see the link in the after chat that Stan has just put in. You received this link in your Zoom reminder for today. And then next week, we're going to have a 5-day program starting with January 20th, which is Monday, the day in which Donald Trump will be inaugurated as President of the United States. We're going to start a 5-day program on strategies of resistance.
Wow.
How do we, as people of goodwill, prepare for an administration that may be harsh on many of the values that we so deeply believe in? So that'll be next week, strategies of resistance.
One thing I wanted to share really quickly before we go.
Sure.
What the mantis being shared with me is that this is all going to go away and be rebuilt. That it's going to take some time, but we can speed that up. But the entire way that our democracy is set up is going to go away, and the power will be given back to the people ultimately.
Let us hope and pray.
Yes.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Kirsten.
Thank you.
Thank you all.